Everybody has a quick update on your storm talk to get you through, and not only the next couple of days, but into the upcoming weekend. We'll discuss the pattern. But notice much of the lower 48 is quiet today, which is good. Ryan Hoke, by the way, out here storm chasing. We hope to talk to him later on this evening, by the way, live. So make sure to look for that. Don G and myself will be talking to him if he's in a good location. We'll see how that plays out. Colin, way up here now. I mean, Colin moved quickly, so the flooding threat was really limited because of the speed of the system moving through. It's got a tail drag through. Always got to watch that. Sometimes you can get some redevelopment if it can develop a low pressure on it down the road here. But the Gulf has been worked over pretty good, so it's going to take a while to get some recovery in that area. All right, locally, we've got the cooler air mass working its way in. We're at 78 degrees right now in Louisville, northwest winds gusting at times. And we've got these fair weather cumulus clouds developing deep enough, maybe a shower could develop in the thicker ones here over Ohio that may clip Cincinnati, but most of us will stay dry here as we remain in that cyclonic flow over the Great Lakes, almost like a wintertime look to a satellite image, but we'll take it. Humidity, in fact, this is where the green is, been shoved way to the south, so the dry air is really going to help things out. Here's the overall pattern, though, for this week into the weekend that I want to discuss. These are the heights from the GFS. This tells you that it's cooler than normal, basically, in this area, and this is where your heat is here to the west. Now, as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, what we're going to find ourselves is in an area where the high is trying to build in and push in, but at the same time, we still got a front that's holding back the cooler air that's retreating to our northeast. That puts us in a northwest flow Wednesday or Thursday into Friday. So we've got to keep an eye on any activity that could develop thunderstorm-wise along the front and track southeast. Usually it's a good MCS type of setup or mesoscale convective systems, little complexes of thunderstorms that can produce high winds. They usually look like a comma shape when they move through a boundary. That's possible Thursday night, and I see a chance for maybe another one on Friday that we'll look at. But we got to watch those. Right now, the Thursday one looks to be mainly too far to our north and not much of a deal. But as we head into Friday and Saturday, we begin to get more of the heat to build in. In fact, the hottest period looks to be as we head into Saturday and parts of Sunday. That is when the ridge really takes over in the central plains, more so than here. So the more south and west of Louisville you are, the hotter it will likely be. Here in Louisville, we're going to be flirting with that 90-degree mark, a couple degrees either way. Once you head toward Paducah, Hopkinsville, maybe even Bowling Green, you're talking more about 93 degrees, maybe even 94, but 93 may be your common number for you guys. So it's going to be around the edge here, the heat core, while that cooler air is holding tough. In fact, there's another trough showing up that's going to try to reinforce it and try to build into the northeast. And if it does that, and there's good support it will, that will knock down the ridge in our area, so we go back into a stormy pattern and back into the 80s for our highs instead of the 90s. The heat will take a break, but it won't last long. I think we will see it come back again toward the end of the month. But at least this burst of heat coming this weekend may have a short lifespan to it if this all plays out. All right, here it is on Futurecast. Let me break it down in detail in the short range for tonight with that northwest wind and clearing skies. Look at the numbers. Lower 50s potentially in the city. I think we'll probably be about mid-50s because of the heat island effect. But Bedford, Shelbyville, Campbellsville, Lebanon, Kentucky, Breckenridge County, you guys always are one of the cooler spots. 48, 49 degrees is possible when you wake up tomorrow morning. So some free AC. I know it sounds weather cliche. I hate it. But it's true. Free AC later tonight. Now, for Wednesday, repeat. In fact, there will be less moisture in the air tomorrow compared to today, so the coverage of clouds will be a little more sparse, and but they'll be there. But a few more areas of completely blue sky. Now, since we're going to start lower than we did this morning, we're still going to have the same range on temperatures as far as morning to afternoon. So it's still going to put us about where we are today, about 78 to maybe 79 degrees here in Louisville. Even though we're starting cooler in the morning hours, it'll be about the same range over the heating for the afternoon period. Then Thursday is our day of transition when we begin to get into that northwest flow as the heat tries to build in. You see the south arrows there. We begin to build in with the heat, and we've got the front to the north. Moisture is going to be one value, but there's not. That's not the only thing. Here's what the RPM is looking at for Thursday afternoon. It develops the thunderstorms along the boundary, Illinois, parts of Indiana, tries to build them to the south and east and along that front, but you see how they just kind of peter out. They don't have much time to really keep going. Now, a couple things on this. One, the wind fields are showing up here. You see a pocket of wind over Illinois that these thunderstorms can ride along. Now, the winds are weaker once they get into our area, but they are certainly stronger, and it's not even off the chain either. This is like borderline wind fields here aloft for this to develop, but enough for them to develop. And when you look at instability, yeah, there's enough instability for them to pop right over Illinois, but the instability fades out over our area. So this is likely going to be a scenario where thunderstorms are going to blossom on the radar Thursday afternoon over Illinois, Iowa, parts of Indiana, maybe even around Terre Haute. That activity will likely develop into an MCS type of complex, race south and east, more east than south though, probably toward Indy than Louisville. And then it's going to run into an environment that's going to just kill it. It's going to eat it alive, and it's going to really struggle to survive. Now, there could be a band of wind that could influence those of you around Bedford, Indiana, Seymour, maybe even Salem. Band of wind, maybe some rain with that. So a little bit of an outflow may approach our northern counties. That is a possibility, and that's where we're going to keep that rain chance in the forecast just in case. But I think most of us will escape the brunt of this one. I'm less impressed today with this scenario than I was yesterday. However, on Friday, we're still in that flow. Still got that northwest flow. But the wind field's a little more over our area, Indianapolis to Cincinnati to Louisville, kind of a triad here of where the gustier winds would be. And when you look at instability, there's a pocket of instability too in our neck of the woods. Now, the question is, if thunderstorms do blossom, say over Indianapolis on Friday, do they track into northern Kentucky, or do they develop a tail of stronger winds, like an outflow, and push into northern Kentucky, say Louisville to about Evansville? Both scenarios are possible. I think the Louisville one is certainly one we need to keep an eye on. Looking at the soundings, there's a bit of a cap to limit the activity initially, but if that outflow moves in, there's plenty of instability for these to feed on, and a lot of analogs showing up here for hailstones potentially out of those, and it's giving us a marginal severe because the wind fields are so weak over our area, but this is all instability based kind of a deal. Just without the outflow, it's instability based. A few pop-up thunderstorms can be strong, but taking that aside, put that on the back burner here, we're more going to be watching the ability for an MCS type of complex to develop in Indianapolis that could race into our area. That wouldn't really factor too much into this on the sounding, but it would allow for these outflows for that MCS to survive into higher instability we would have in our area. So overall, rain chance, our next rain chance is going to be Thursday night, mainly north of Louisville, if anything, depends on how long that can survive. Friday afternoon, I do think it's a slightly better chance to see activity blossom, and that could affect a good chunk of wave country. And then as we into the weekend, mainly hot. That push from the northeast, though, is going to build in at some point on Sunday to Monday, so thunderstorm chances are going to have to ramp up here at some point Sunday to Monday as we get that backdoor front pushing in from the northeast. How quickly that happens and how far it can push into us is a little unclear. So I'll look over some more data on that and have the 7-day updated here soon on the app. But that's how things are looking anyway in the short term, guys. All right, have a good one. I'll see you on TV.